whatever it's worth, right? Whoever sells it. Wrong. I'm Charlie. Welcome to Moving Home with Charlie, and thank you for coming.
Charlie Landing grew up in Sussex, is the founder of Best Agent and presenter of Moving Home with Charlie.
If you want to find one of these guys, look out for those compassionate professionals. All estate agents are not the same.
So Charlie, what would be your advice for people interested in buying new builds right now?
Don't overpay. Do buy, but don't overpay. That's why I say disregard the guff. Read into the numbers and look, and it's buried. The bad news is buried in the small print, okay?
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Property Press Awards.
They may or may not be telling the truth, but you should form your own view. Get out and view, get out and view, get out and view. You cannot be in a position to make offers and have the offers accepted if you're not viewing. So be out there viewing. Pay attention to the back of the class if you've not been watching my videos. I did one just a couple of days ago. Disregard the guff, guys. Shall we try that again? Hello, everybody. Welcome to a video which I am hoping will help everybody who doesn't already understand why the average transaction value reported in all the house price indices doesn't necessarily reflect what's happening to actual house prices because of the way it's calculated. Now, the purpose of this video is to make people at least consider the possibility that the single number that's being used in these indices is not representative of the tens of thousands of local marketplaces, and also why it is mathematically possible for house prices to be going down when the average goes up. And in this video, my mission is to prove to you, no matter who you are, or how cynical you are about the things and skeptical about things that I'm saying, you will go, actually, hang on, he's got a point. He's got a point. Because I don't have an agenda or narrative of what I want house prices to do. My goal and my mission is transparency. And my problem with the indices at the moment is that they are not creating transparency. Now, they're not doing it intentionally. I am not accusing these indices of deliberately misleading us themselves. However, the commentary along with the indices is misleading, and it's either knowingly misleading or they don't understand how averages work themselves. The people who are writing the comments, I mean. So let's just quickly run through what I mean. At the moment, here we are in December 2023, and all the house price indices are saying, average house price hasn't come down very much. It's come down a little bit, but not much. But actually, at the front line and at the coalface, everybody knows house prices are falling. Now, I want to prove that to you in this video. And I've got links below to all the things that I'm going to use to prove this to you. But without further ado, I'm about to try and prove to you why house prices can be falling sharply, even when the average transaction value isn't falling sharply. And it boils down to this. The average transaction value does not represent average house prices, because when there are changes in transaction volumes at different ends of the market, that will distort or skew the average. And there is a narrative amongst the industry commentators at the moment that, well, house prices have been surprisingly resilient. And that narrative is based entirely on the average transaction value. Now, either they don't understand that the average transaction value and house prices are different, which is just embarrassing if it's your job to be a commentator, or they do understand, they know the difference between the average transaction value and house prices can be different, and they're being disingenuous at best and downright lying bastards at worst when they're saying, oh, look. Now, let me start and kick off. I don't know who wrote this, but let's just see what Nationwide said most recently, okay? So most recently, Nationwide said, house price recovery, sorry, what? Recovery? Continued, hasn't even started in November. That is either ignorance, or it's disingenuous, or it's lying. Because whilst I'm not disputing the figure that they've got, that the fact that they're saying that that figure represents all house prices is wrong in this current market. And I'm going to show you two reasons why. So that's Nationwide. Then we have Halifax saying a similar thing. So then the monthly change in the average transaction value is up 0.5% from October to November. That's fine. I don't dispute that. But look at that comment. UK house prices rose for the second month in a row. UK house prices rose. That is a flagrant falsehood that is either written out of ignorance, which is embarrassing if you don't understand, or they know it's misleading and they're exploiting people's lack of understanding of how averages and prices relate to each other. Okay? Because the average doesn't mean all. Next, we have even the ONS, right? This is the most recent for September 2023. And even they've got the annual price change for a property in the UK was 0.1%. So basically unchanged. House prices in the year are unchanged. And you get the muppet commentators who, again, either know that they're being misleading or don't understand the maths, going, see, this is going to silence the doom mongers. And again, all I want is transparency on what's happening with house prices. So what have we got? We've then got this. I want to play you this little recording here. This is Tom Bill, who is the research director, head of research at Knight Frank, a couple of days ago on CNBC, and this is what he says.
Markets in turn, I think looking at the sales market first, I think if we're not at the bottom, we're probably quite close to it.
If we're not at the bottom, we're probably quite close to it. That's not going to age well, Tom, I don't think, for reasons I'll come on to show. But let's just hear what else you have to say.
So that often influences people in terms of their timing. Over the last few weeks, we've seen inflation calm down, come under 5%. We've seen mortgage rates or a 5-year fixed rate come under 4.5%. And I think speculation is now turning to when the first rate cut will come rather than the size of the next rate hike. And so I think sentiment has notably improved over the last few weeks. So I would say if you're trying to time your purchase, and often people try and do the get their timing correct, it feels like the next 6 months are going to be better than the last 6 months for the.
Buy now. Headline: estate agent says now's a good time to buy a house. Okay, I get it. It's his job, right? But the sentiment's improving. Who is he speaking on behalf of? Because I don't know any movers who are going, oh yeah, this is looking really good. Now, next step. There are two things happening, two phenomena in the housing market that we can find data to support, which I'm going to show you in a minute, which if they are happening, and I'll let you decide if they're happening or not, would cause the average transaction value to rise even though prices aren't rising or are falling. And those two phenomena are this. Number one, there are far fewer transaction volumes than normal at the bottom end of the market by price. And we've got Bank of England data to back that up, which I will show you in a minute. So it's not just me saying it. Official Bank of England mortgage approval data will show that there are fewer transactions happening at the bottom of the market. In fact, I'm going to do that right now. So here we have, and we're going to show the approval quantity and the approval value, okay? So this is the most recent Bank of England graph showing on that light blue line the quantity of mortgages being approved. And so what we've got here is if you look at the 5-year average before the pandemic, which had that crazy spike down and up, right? It's around about 70,000 new mortgages approved a month. And then you look where we are now, and it's about 47,000 was the most recent month. That's a long way down, right? That's 23,000 down. So that's a 30% reduction, roughly, just based on mortgage approvals, of 30% reduction. And now let's just have a look at the value of those, okay? And for that, I'm going to use my friend Alex Groundwater, Stig's graph that he published recently at the same time the Bank of England published this data. And I've linked to this below as well, where you can see that the most recent average mortgage value, this is to back up my point that this is at the lower end of the market, is 216,000. That's not a house price. That's how much was borrowed. So it's that plus the deposit. But the point is, it is 200. That is the lower end of property transactions. That's significantly below the average transaction value that the ONS says of 280 or 290,000. And so that, to me, is fairly incontrovertible proof that there are fewer transactions happening at the lower end of the market. Does anyone disagree with that? Does anyone want to say, no, the number of transactions happening in the market is still holding up, Charlie? The Bank of England's wrong that the mortgage approval numbers are down. Is anyone going to argue with that? I hope not, because you're going to make yourself look really silly if you do. So now let's just see. I'm going to use the spreadsheet that I used in a different video to make this point. I'm going to share this tab. Now, I've linked to this spreadsheet below. So you can actually go, if you're watching this live, go into the description underneath this video on YouTube or on LinkedIn, and where it's a spreadsheet, and click on it and go to this Google spreadsheet where I will show you live what happens when you have fewer transactions at the lower end of the market. Now, what I've got here on the screen is a really tiny sample of just 8 homes, okay? But those are 8 homes that were sold once on year 1 and then were sold again on year 2, the same 8 homes, and all of them had a £5,000. So homes number 1 through to 7 had a £5,000 reduction between year 1 and year 2. Only home number 8 didn't, right? This one here. That one had a significant increase. And this is before I start showing you the changes in transaction volumes. What this shows is that even though 7 out of those 8 homes had a price reduction, a £5,000 price reduction, shown there with the percentages there, 2.8, 2.6, 2.5, right? The average, or the mean average, is still showing that the prices, that the mean transaction value went up 0.9%. Okay, so that is a really simple explanation that even only one house at the top end went up in price and 7 out of 8 went down, the average goes up 0.9%. Does that mean that house prices have gone up 0.9%? No, it doesn't. And that's why I think the median is a better calculation, which is in that column there. Okay, so there, even though the average went up, the median price went down. Now, that's why I made this spreadsheet to show you. Now, what I want to show you now is, let's just pretend that the lowest 2 lowest 2 price transactions don't happen in year 2. I'm just going to delete those 2 prices there, those 2 transactions, so that there are no transactions for that year. And look what happens to the mean price and the mean change in the average transaction value. When all the others stay the same, but these 2 just don't happen, watch what happens. House prices have gone up 6.5%. No. Yes, they have, because look at the average transaction value has gone up 6%. No. All that's happened is there have been 25% fewer transactions at the lower end. But the average has gone up 6%, Charlie. No. This is my whole point. This is what I'm trying to point out to you. Simply by having fewer transactions, what the Bank of England data proves is the case, simply by having fewer transactions at the lower end, where first-time buyers are buying much less, it makes the average transaction value go up. All right? And that's not the case, is it? So can anyone try and challenge this maths that I'm showing you? Okay, so simply by having fewer transactions at the lower end of the market, it makes the average transaction value go up. Can you see what I'm showing you here and how that relates to what's happening in the real world? Now let's just put those transaction values back in again, and I'll show you the other thing that I think is happening. So now let's replace those 2 much lower prices with much higher value transactions. So we'll delete those 2, right? And now what we'll do is we'll put in a couple more transactions at the higher end, at the higher range. No. In fact, better way of doing this is just to replace those two low value transactions with two high value transactions of around 230,000. Okay, so in the context of this spreadsheet, those are the higher value transactions. So 230,000, 230,000, bang! That too has made the average house price go up, even though all the others haven't gone up. They're just higher value transactions. I don't know if that's as clear as the first point I made, right? But I hope that helps you understand the point I'm trying to make here. So the Bank of England is the evidence that there are far fewer transactions happening at lower price values than normal. And that makes the average transaction value go up because of how the average is calculated. Now, the other thing that I think is happening is that, and I want to show you some evidence that I think, and Rightmove's house price index for December that came out today provides this evidence beautifully, is that there are more properties being sold at higher values than is usual. Now, this is not quite as cut and dried as the Bank of England data, but I'll let you decide, okay? So here we have today's Rightmove house price press release. And the first thing I want to read out to you is, again, this commentary from Tim Bannister, Rightmove's Director of Property Services, okay? So first of all, the price drops are actually, these are pretty chunky. So this is saying that prices in December, monthly asking prices of newly listed properties dropped 1.9% in a month. And that they're saying that the annual price change is minus 1.1%. Now, I'm calling bullshit. And down here, you can see Tim Bannister says the annual fall of 1.1% in asking prices highlights the market's much better than predicted resilience this year. Either Tim Bannister doesn't understand the difference between an average transaction value and house prices, or he does, and he knows this is misleading. I don't know which one it is. I don't know the guy. So I've got no idea. But let's just have a look at this. Remember, I'm wanting to show you that higher value properties, there are more of them coming on the market. And here we've got the top of the ladder prices, and the 1 month change there is a 4.8%. That's almost a 5% drop in asking prices in 1 month for the top of the ladder properties. And annually, it's a 3.8%. So 3.2% year-on-year drop in asking prices of high-end stuff. And we're talking about asking prices of £620,000 to £650,000, right? So that is pretty high-end for most places in the UK. Perhaps not in London, but for most places in the UK, that's pretty high-end, okay? Now, why would the price falls at the top be bigger than everywhere else? I would put it to you that is because there are more people than usual trying to sell at the higher end. So we've got fewer than typical transactions at the lower end of the market and more than usual transactions at the higher end of the market. Both of those things on their own would lead to the average transaction value being higher, even if the prices are falling. And what I'm saying to you is that this is evidence that prices are falling because published asking prices being dropped is the very last gasp, desperate thing that sellers do when they can't sell and they need to sell. They lower their published public asking price. Guys, do we have any questions on that? Bakar, okay, there's a question here which is kind of relevant. One of my friends argued that the ONS data was not delayed by several months. Is there a link or logic that proves this delay? Yes, what I just showed you proves this delay, right? So here we've got the ONS figures themselves, and in November they published September's data. All right, this is September 2023. Just go and Google ONS UK House Price Index September 2023. In fact, I think I've linked to this page below as well. I can't remember. But this is the completions that happened in September 2023. Completions registered in September 2023. Those were agreed. Those prices were agreed on average 5 months earlier, because the current average time for transactions to happen in this country is 5 months from when the price is agreed to when it completes. So that's for deals that were agreed in April. So in November, the ONS published deals that were agreed on average in April. Okay, hope that answers your question. Thank you, Bakar. Do we have any? Yeah, I know. Does anybody disagree with what I've come in with what I've come in with in this video in terms of explaining what's happening? Does anyone not understand, or have I not been clear? I just want this to be the last time I ever have to explain this, because I'm trying to explain this every single month and I'm smacking my face into a wall repeatedly going, God, please, this is GCSE maths. How can the house price commentators not understand this? There's no public evidence of this, which is why the media won't report what I'm saying, because the media cannot report anything that they can't back up with their own data sources. And the data sources here are the Land Registry, when they finally completed registering all the transactions, but that's taking them over a year. So we won't know whether or not I'm right about this to be able to compare volume of low-end transactions with volume of high-end transactions for another year from now, which is too late for those of you who are thinking whether or not you want to move house right now. I mean, I'm looking through the comments here. No one's actually commenting on what I'm talking about. You're asking me lots of other questions, but could I please have people's yay or nay? Do you understand what I'm saying? Does what I'm saying stack up mathematically? Because if I get another, quotes, investor on Twitter or on X saying, but Charlie, prices have only come down 1%, that's what the house price index is saying, that doesn't understand that when transaction volumes change at different ends of the market, that skews the average, I'm going to, well, all I can do is just start to ignore it. Because if you don't get that and you aren't prepared to consider that as a possibility, when there is evidence to support what I'm saying, right? The Bank of England's own evidence says, oh, far fewer transactions at the lower end of the market than typical. What does that do to the average? It makes it go up. It's a mathematical certainty. This isn't speculation. This isn't a theory. If you have fewer than normal transactions at the low end of the market, the average goes up. This is not difficult, honestly. A 12-year-old who understands averages could explain this. And yet everyone just goes, but the headlines say house prices have only come down 1%. Is it just me? Thank you, Richard Natris. Thank you. People do fully understand. It is simple. Okay, for those of you who are scientifically, mathematically minded, can you come up with a hypothetical challenge to this phenomenon, this concept that I'm explaining? What would someone who has a counter view to me argue about why this thesis is wrong? What is a legitimate, reasonable counter to this proposal? What could be? Of course, maybe I'm wrong, right? Maybe actually, because we don't know, because the Land Registry won't publish it for another year, maybe house prices are going up. But if house prices are going up, boys and girls, if house prices are going up, you tell me why asking prices on Rightmove are dropping across the board, monthly and annually. If house prices have finished falling, like our friend Tom Bill said on that video just now, why are the most recent asking prices on Rightmove dropping? Can anyone else come up with another explanation for all asking prices month on month and year on year at the high end and at the low end of the market, all asking prices falling. Does anyone else have another theory as to why that could happen other than the fact that house prices are falling? Oh, dearie me, dearie me, dearie me, dearie me. I would love a housing market journalist to want to look me up and interview me about this and say, oh, actually, Charlie, I'd love a housing market journalist to have the courage to publish the story on this and go, well, actually, the maths shows that if you have fewer transactions at the lower level, the average goes up. So if that is what's happening, and the Bank of England tells us that's what is happening, could it be that the house price indices are not lying to us? The indices, the number, the average is rising. It is indeed true that the average transaction value is rising, but maybe that's not because house prices are rising. Please, there must be a journalist watching this who's got an open mind who goes, this does stack up, actually. Just purely mathematically, it stacks up. Bank of England says 20 to 30% fewer transactions at the bottom end of the market. That makes averages go up. Maybe the average transaction value isn't the same as house prices. Maybe there's a story here. Because maybe the house moving public might just appreciate a journalist doing a story that isn't parroting without challenge vested interest press releases that say things like house prices are rising when they're fucking not. When they're fucking not. It's like a tsunami of stupidity. How can anyone who claims to have any level of professional interest in what's happening in the housing market just blindly spew this patent bullshit without challenging it? Why doesn't a single journalist challenge the commentary from Nationwide, from Halifax? Why? Why don't you challenge Tim Bannister from Rightmove when he says that prices are resilient? Why don't you say, but hang on, Tim Bannister, is it not true that the average price would go up just because there are fewer transactions at the bottom end of the market? Is that not true? Not a single journalist is asking any of these guys this question, and I don't understand why. Yes, I'm frustrated. Yes, I'm frustrated. Yes, I'm frustrated. Thank you, Adomus. Yes, Lotfi Ben Sassi says, Lotfi Ben Sassi says, hey, Charlie, apparently some of these indices adjust for property size and area in their sampling. Yes, they do. Some of the samples are small too. Thank you, Connor. I'm not losing hope. I will never lose hope. In case you hadn't understood this about me, one of the things that you can rely on about me is I'm someone who just doesn't give up when I believe something and I know it, and I don't even need to believe it, right? Belief isn't required when you have data. And when you have a mind capable of just questioning the headlines and going, well, that doesn't feel right to me. Everyone I know that's trying to sell a house is saying they can't sell it. Everyone I know is struggling to sell. Everyone I know is loading up. Everyone I know is taking the stuff off the market and putting it back on and hoping. Yeah. Shaz Gently. Okay. Am I missing something? But asking prices don't really mean as much as ONS sales prices. You're correct. Asking prices have nothing to do. But ONS sales prices, they still are reporting the averages. And it's not even the plain average. It's the skewed, hedonically regressed figure as well. Marcus Aurelius says, get Vicky Spratt on the case. I will. I have actually I tagged her in a tweet, but I need to reach out to her and say, Vicky, come on, please help me with this. Yeah, David McKenzie says, I love the way that the mainstream media are now clarifying that Rightmove's figures are asking prices, not actual house prices. That's progress, though, isn't it? That is progress. It is progress. Lynn Shepherd says, hi, Charlie. In my area, thank you very much for the comments. That's funny. St Albans in Hertfordshire, I assume that is. There's more than one St Albans, isn't there? The high-end prices are being reduced down by some cases by up to 20%, and the lower end isn't selling. Thank you. Yeah. Liam Jones says, answer me this. After analysing prices in my area, I'd say 8 to 10 properties are reducing. Do you mean 8 to 10% or 8 to 10 actual properties? Sorry, Liam, there is no question there. I can't answer it. There's no question. Give me a question and I can answer it. I also saw a statistic today, guys, that I don't know where it came from, but it was from an estate agency CRM company sending out a marketing email to estate agents trying to promote their software, saying that 46% of sellers who took their house off the market in 2023 are going to put it back on the market in 2024. Well, I don't know if that's true. I don't know where they get their data from. But if that is true, first of all, those sellers are going to wish that they hadn't done that and that they just accepted that lower offer in 2023. Secondly, it would suggest a significant increase in stock coming to the market in 2024. Right, guys, I'm going to wrap that up. I hope that was helpful. Thanks for watching. Thanks for your support. By the way, I am working on, and it's actually quite exciting. I'm working on the actual creation of what I'm calling the Best Agent Community Sourced House Price Index. If you would like to be kept up to date, and the whole point of this house price index is to completely blow away the smoke and mirrors and the guff and have a bang up to date exchange price index. So no guesswork, no asking prices, actual exchange prices. So it'll be like land registry prices, but 6 months sooner. Supplied by a collection of people, including estate agents and conveyancers, but also the public. And the point is, we will be able to bring real house price data to the public sooner. If you want to be kept up to date on that, please register, sign up to my email newsletter. Link is below. It's also on my homepage, mhwc.co.uk. It's at the bottom if you scroll to the bottom of the homepage. mhwc.co.uk. Sign up. I don't send out many emails on that at all, but so there's my website address down there, mhwc for moving home with Charlie.co.uk. Bottom of the homepage is my email newsletter sign up. I don't send out weekly or monthly. I send out newsletters if and when there's something to say, so you won't be getting spammed by it. But it's the first place that I will announce the trials of the community sourced house price index, where I invite you, if you are a buyer, to tell us what price you just paid for a property. We won't be publicizing exact addresses immediately. We'll be collating the data. Once the land registry publishes it, we'll link it up so we can actually verify that it was correct. But it will effectively be as accurate as the land registry house price data, but much sooner. That's the goal. Transparency is the goal. And transparency is a bitch if you're lying about stuff. So a lot of them aren't going to like it, but the honest agents are going to love it. Also, guys, another thing that the Rightmove December house price index proves is that December is the month for bargains. People dropping their asking prices like flies. So if you aren't too busy and you're ready, got your ducks in a row, you've got your mortgage, your conveyancing, your search pack ready to buy, go out and view now. There are bargains to be had. There are sellers who will accept prices now that they wouldn't have accepted earlier in the year, provided you show that you are ready to move really fast for a fast exchange. Because I think the cold, hard reality is going to dawn in Q1 of 2024 on the housing market. That's what I think. Lots of love, lots of luck. Best of luck to all of you. If you're a seller, don't overprice. If you're a buyer, don't overpay. But always, if you can afford it and you need a home, do go and buy now. Just don't overpay. Thanks, guys. See you on the next one. Bye-bye.